Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
This is awesome! This is awesome! Well, it's been a good long while, Cheap Shot Nation, since we have been sat in front of this camera doing a review of a wrestling show. And although the rumours are that Wrestlemania was pre-taped, and obviously some matches like the Boneyard match were definitely pre-taped with all the camera cuts and things, special effects going off, it definitely felt like a live thing. And let me tell you, if you've not seen WrestleMania the first night, WrestleMania 36, go watch it. Really, really good. A few stinkers, but we'll come to those as we go along. You're watching Cheap Shot Entertainment. I am your host, the Reverend Luke Edwards, and we're going to go through everything that happened on night one of WrestleMania 36, a show that I should have been at. I should have been watching at 12 o'clock tonight. Obviously, it would have been a lot earlier in America. Anyway. Obviously with the COVID-19 crisis, the pandemic, things have gone a bit awry. The WrestleMania is at the Performance Centre, and it's under closed. There's no fans, so it's kind of weird having no fans. Obviously the commentators were there, so it's a very different WrestleMania to anything that we've ever seen. And yeah, it was really good. I really, really enjoyed it, and the general consensus of the whole thing that was on Saturday night, the 4th of April 2020, was that it was decent. It was, like I say, a couple of stinkers, but we'll get through to those. And if you've got comments that you want to leave us, leave them in the comments section, either at the side of the video, which would be this side, or below the video, and comment on WrestleMania what you thought of it. I know it's definitely split for the Boneyard match, but I will go through my thoughts on that having watched it again before I've done this video. So, quick one before we go. Obviously WrestleMania is over 2 nights, which means we are missing out on one of the highlights of all major pay-per-view weekends, and that is NXT TakeOver. We were supposed to have NXT TakeOver last night. Obviously it's not happening because WrestleMania is over 2 nights, too big for just one night, is the slogan. And they've even got t-shirts out saying "I wasn't there." I was very tempted by those, but got these t-shirts instead. They're all close to order. Anyway, yeah, NXT TakeOver. So those matches are taking place on the NXT shows over the next couple of weeks. We actually got the first one on the 1st of April, which was at Full Sail University. So they're back at Full Sail Live in Orlando, Florida, on the 1st of the 4th, 2020. It was the North American Championship match, and I'm going to go through that before going to the WrestleMania stuff. It's Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic versus Damian Priest. These three had it in for each other. They've been a triangle, sort of in a feud triangle for a good long time. I know Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic had a thing going. They tagged together, they gained respect for each other by going against each other, and it seems like we're going back on that. But the only thing, I love Keith Lee, I love Dijakovic, and I'm getting used to Priest. But the only thing is, in this one, I'd say, is that they protected Damian Priest, which is good, but they let Dijakovic take the fall again. So at this point, he's becoming less relevant because Keith Lee keeps beating him, and I don't want him to go out of the picture here. So I think he needs to pick up the North American Championship at some point. My prediction is that he will be the next champion, but I'm getting tired of the Dijakovic Keith Lee thing. It was great for the first couple of matches, but adding Priest into this definitely helped it out. So Keith Lee does pick up the victory here. and he wins after hitting a pounce on Damien Priest, a vicious pounce, goes out of the ring and hits the fireman's jackhammer on Dijakovic for the win. Noted that Keith Lee was out of the ring. Priest had his retractable knife stick. Dijakovic tried to hit the Feast Your Eyes. The knife stick hit his knee, and this is what led to the finish. Overall, really good match. Lots of high flying from these three huge guys. Possibly the biggest match, literally and figuratively, for the North American Championship that we've seen on NXT. But really good match. Definitely go back and watch it. It was on this week's NXT. And if that's anything to go by the next couple of weeks, we know who's in the ladder match now for the #1 contendership for the Women's Championship. Obviously, the Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley, at Wrestlemania against Charlotte Flair. So that will feature on night 2, and we'll bring you that review first thing on Monday morning. So let's get into the WrestleMania pre-show. This was on the 4th of April 2020 at the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. Got to say, they've done the Performance Center up really nice for WrestleMania. They've done their job and it looks good. They've even brought the big WrestleMania sign into the Performance Center and it looks decent. So we've got a pre-show match. It's Drew Gulak versus Cesaro. Yeah, someone's got to start the show. Who better than Drew Gulak and Cesaro? WWE seem to be really up on Drew Gulak after his partnership with Daniel Bryan, which is going really, really well for him. It's good to have that sort of mentor, if you like, in Daniel Bryan. Now these two gain respect for each other, much like we talked about Lee and Dijakovic after fighting each other last month, and they had a really good match. And Cesaro, what can you say about the Swiss Cyborg, the Swiss Superman, whatever he's called now? Predominantly mid-card, but he is fantastic, and he does pick up the victory here after a hard-fought victory, a hard-fought match with the inverted aeroplane spin. Now this is really impressive from Cesaro. He got his name for himself by doing the big swing, but this aeroplane spin, it's inverted, so you usually have them belly down, back facing upwards for the aeroplane spin. Now he does it completely differently. He's like a reverse fireman's carry, and just uses the momentum, doesn't even hold on to them, just spins them around in a circle, just has them on his shoulders, and that's how big his shoulders are. But the aeroplane spin would give Cesaro the victory in this one, so it's nice to see Cesaro on a WrestleMania again, and it's nice to see him pick up the victory. Of note, actually, I don't know if they're going to put this in the pre-show tonight, but there was no Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I'm guessing that's because of the COVID, and it would make sense because of having 40 people in one match is ridiculous, especially in the times that we're in as now. I don't know if they're going to pick that up at, say, a SummerSlam, or if we're out of this by then, but that's an interesting thought. Didn't really think about that, but yeah, makes sense that it wouldn't be on the card. Anyway, going into the main show now. It's the Women's Tag Team Championships on the line, and yes, they are still a thing, and the Kabuki Warriors are the current reigning defending Women's Tag Team Champions, after being just forgotten about completely. The titles and the Kabuki Warriors, it seems like anybody who picks up these titles are just sort of left by the wayside, with possible exception of their opponents, Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss went off with an injury. They were previous tag team champions, and Alexa Bliss went off with an injury. She's come back. Surprisingly, they've reformed the team. They're big up on this team, and it works really well. Waiting for the heel turn from Alexa Bliss. It's not happened. it's kind of cool. I really like this team. I like both these ladies. They got lots of pedigree. Obviously, Alexa Bliss, multiple time women's champion, and it's good to see her back in the title hunt for something other than a singles title. So that's all good. So, and the Kabuki Warriors, what can you say? I love Kairi Sane and Asuka, and this match was actually really damn good, and it goes to prove when you're given the time, these ladies can put on a show, and that they did. They were obviously there was lots of beating down from the Kabuki Warriors to Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross respectively. A couple of hot tags. Nikki Cross was on fire in this match, and she really pulled everything out to pick up the victory in this one. But it would be the weak knees of Kairi Sane that would lead to the victory, because the Twisted Bliss was hit as and she pretty much missed it. She landed on Kairi Sane's legs, on her knees, and obviously that's the weak point. If you're going to take out Kairi Sane, go for the knees. Yeah, brilliant. Alexa Bliss and Kairi Sane. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross are your new women's tag team champions, the only two-time tag team champions in the current era. WWE will have you believe that the women's tag team championships are a very new thing. They're not. They were around in the late 80s and early 80s, and obviously they've only just brought them back, which is a good thing. I like it a lot. So yeah, Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss are your tag team champions. So we go on to the next match, which is King Corbin versus Elias. There is no song to be sung to the ring in this one, and we get a hype package for it. Incidentally, I never mentioned the opening package for WrestleMania. It was really good. So obviously they haven't got anybody to sing America the Beautiful, so they put together a collage, a montage of all of the people that have sang it before, and it was really, really good, and really quite awesome, lovely package that they put together. Very respectful, and noting the craziness of what's going off. Anything can happen at WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania, and at the moment anything can happen in the world around us. So life is fragile. Hope you're all staying safe and all of that. So King Corbin and Elias, hype package here. Something that I do miss out on is Raw and SmackDown. I don't have any access to BT Sports, so I do kind of. I could get 3 months worth, but whatever. And I just watched the highlights. So didn't catch the highlights before going into WrestleMania, but they did put a nice hype package together. Obviously these two have been going at it for a little while, and had a bit of a scuffle where King Corbin chokeslammed Elias off the podium in the Performance Centre down onto the floor. And noted in this one, he landed hard on the concrete, did Elias. He's just got a bit of physio tape on his shoulder. Yeah, so I don't think he really, didn't really sell the injuries. He's just been chucked off a podium onto a concrete floor. Get the EMTs and things like that, and I was like, what's happened to Elias? But it didn't really sell the injury, and I think that sort of took me out of it, having had that hype package, because I wouldn't have known that if they hadn't shown the hype package. But I think that was it for me. So you don't sell it. It was an okay match, but I'd probably say it was the weakest match on the card by far for the first night of WrestleMania. Anyway, Corbin tries to roll up Elias using the ropes. He is caught. He's trying to use the tights and the ropes. He's caught by the referee, and as he's complaining to the referee, which happens to be a female referee, and she's not taking any nonsense from King Corbin, and he's caught in this one. So yeah, Elias manages to get the victory with a roll-up of his own, the most devastating move in professional wrestling today. And he grabs a handful of tights and gives King Corbin a run, taste of his own medicine, so to speak, a run for his money. So Elias wins. It's good to see Elias back. It's good to see him pick up a victory. And yeah, makes you wonder where he's going to go from here. But there's a lot of sort of floundering talent in WWE at the moment. So on to the Women's Championship. The Raw Women's Championship is quite low on the card, considering that Becky Lynch is a 1-year veteran of that title, the Raw Women's title rather, as she was the SmackDown Women's Champion before WrestleMania 35. And she's still carrying the championship after 36, because all of that build-up for Shayna Baszler, the absolute domination of the rest of the Raw Women's division, led to nothing. Can't say that I'm disappointed with the outcome, but it was a dominant display from Shayna Baszler, and I'm guessing they're just going to go down the route of that Becky Lynch has got a little bit more experience in the ring and knows how to do things and how to. But I mean, Shayna Baszler has proven time and time again in NXT that she is very smart in that squared circle. So does this make her look stupid? I was fully expecting Baszler to pick up the championship. It is pretty much her first match his first match on a WWE pay-per-view. So I suppose they're protecting her in that way. But after such a build-up and such domination, she gets outsmarted by Becky Lynch. I think it was the right decision to keep the title on Becky Lynch for now, and let Shayna Baszler just go over in a no holds barred or submissions match or something like that, and do it the way that Bret Hart and Bob Backlund did back in, I think it was like 1995, where you've got people on the outside, you've got to throw the towels in, that kind of thing. Might be an interesting one, and that would be a way to keep Becky Lynch safe, but also make Baszler look absolutely dominant at the same time. So I'm not upset by the result, I'm just upset by how it happened, really. That being said, it was a really good match. It was really competitive, way better than it had any right to be, but they've got two women here who have proven time and time again that they can deliver when it comes to the big stage. So I couldn't expect anything different. It was a really good match, and definitely one of the highlights of the first night. But Becky Lynch wins. She rolls through as on the Karabuki clutch and pins Shayna Baszler's shoulders to the match, a la Roddy Piper and Bret Hart from WrestleMania 8. So again, good pay-per-view. One of my, in fact, I think I remember that as being my first WrestleMania. And if you've listened to the confession sessions, you'll know that from listening to the first episode. So go over to Anchor or whichever podcasting network you listen to. It's on Spotify and iTunes and all that kind of stuff as well. And listen to that podcast, because it's pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. Anyway, so she rolls through and Becky Lynch stays as champion. Keeps a short hold on that championship. Anyway, the Intercontinental Championship is up for grabs next. It is the newly crowned, newly minted Intercontinental Champion, Sami Zayn. This title has flip-flopped from many different people. It's gone from Nakamura to Braun Strowman to Sami Zayn, and now Daniel Bryan's after it again. Of course, big thing with Daniel Bryan and the Intercontinental Championship is that he did win it at WrestleMania 31, I believe, and then he obviously had to retire. Yeah, it'd be nice to see him with the Intercontinental Championship again. But obviously, he's brought down his protege in Drew Gulak. He's no PowerPoint presentation in sight, unfortunately. And obviously, the Artist Collective is joining Sami Zayn in this one. Yeah, really competitive match. It does start a bit weary, but you know, you'd expect that from Sami Zayn. He is the dastardly, slippery heel in this one, so he keeps moving away from Daniel Bryan, sliding out of the ring. Every time Drew Gulak tries to chase him back in the ring, you've got Nakamura and Cesaro on the outside trying to stop him, and it works really, really well. Actually, I quite enjoyed this match because it told a story and continued a story, something that WWE are notoriously bad for doing and sticking with, but they've definitely changed in recent months. Obviously, you've got Lana still married to Bobby Lashley and things like that. So yeah, you know, they're sticking with things, and this was a nice, nice continuation of that sort of story. Ultimately, Daniel Bryan, he does get the best of Sami Zayn for most of it. Obviously, the technical wrestler, whereas, like I say, Sami Zayn is the slippery heel. But he does come short after trying to jump off the top rope. Comes short with a hell of a kick. And it should be noted here that Gulak took out the Artist Collective. They were down for what seemed like about 10 minutes after being chucked over the barricade, where they would come back. They would attack Drew Gulak, causing the distraction, which meant that Sami Zayn could hit the hell of a kick with Daniel Bryan coming off the top, and that would get the victory for the slippery heel that is Sami Zayn. Interesting match coming up next. It is the triple threat ladder match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, which is now a singles match, really. So there's one person representing each team. Still triple threat. And when I say singles, I mean triple threat, but it's not tag team rules. They definitely picked three right people for this. Obviously, putting Biggie in over Kofi Kingston would have been absolutely daft. Obviously, John Morrison is more high flying of Miz and Morrison, and Jimmy Uso is, I would say, probably the more high flying of the two Usos. But this match came about very last minute. The Miz showing signs of falling ill, basically showing signs of the 19, and that's what I'm going to call it, the 19. So he got sent home, and this what it turned into. It turned into a singles match. So lots of high spots here. John Morrison walking as a tightrope over the top rope at one point, which was really cool, hitting a Spanish fly. Lots of high flying. Jimmy Uso takes a nasty spill from the top of the ladder. Again, I would have loved to have seen all six. There's something about triple threat tag team ladder matches that are just brilliant. I recently watched WrestleMania 2000, WrestleMania 16 in old money. Obviously that went on the channel a couple of days ago because it was 20 years on the 2nd of April since that match, since that pay-per-view happened. So I'm trying to go through the year 2000 as well with my retro reviews. Anyway, Morrison would end up retaining the championships for Miz and Morrison. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Miz and Morrison. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Miz and Morrison. Hey, hey, oh, in my head. So yeah, he would end up retaining. Quite a funny thing because the all three guys were up on a singles ladders each. The belts would be unclipped. They're on like a little hook thing. The belts would be unclipped. All three guys were holding on to the things and like trying to fight for this thing. And it would be Jimmy Uso and Kofi Kingston who would join together in knocking Morrison off the ladder, which they had like a bridge thing from the rope to the ladder with another ladder. And we ended up knocking Morrison off, but Morrison would manage to unclip the belts, the titles, as he was falling. Now, obviously, all the titles now are magnetic, so it's a lot easier to do that. When it was all poppers and stuff, it would have been a lot more difficult to do. But I quite like the magnetic style closing on the belts. You know, it's very modern, very easy to put on to people and take off and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, he would end up falling with the tag team championships in his grasp and retaining the championship, taking a nasty spoil onto the ladder, which was set as a bridge, taking a nasty fall. Wasn't really many spots really with the ladders, which was quite disappointing. There's not really much diving off the ladders. I suppose with more people that would be a lot easier because there's more people to catch you and things like that. I'm not saying this was a bad match. It was perfectly acceptable as a ladder match, triple threat ladder match. But these things, especially ladder matches, you kind of need a crowd. And I think that's one thing that was lacking with this particular match. But there's a match itself, really good. It was absolutely okay. I'd say it was really good, and it was absolutely okay. But yeah, really, it was a decent match, and you've definitely got the three best ones here. So say if it was Morrison that had gone off ill, I'm not sure we would have got a match quite like this, and it was really cool. It's a ladder match. What's not to like, really? Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins next in a grudge match that has been building up for quite some time, and you know, these two absolutely hate each other, and Kevin Owens has been the thorn in the Messiah's side. As I say, let's call the Monday Night Messiah. He's been the thorn in his side for some weeks now, and it's coming to a head. So these two fight inside the ring, they fight outside the ring. Rollins would get the better of Kevin Owens initially. This is where my network went out, so I had to re-watch this one, and managed to get it just in time for the bell to ring and it being announced as a disqualification. I'm like, what? So the first part of the match, because it does get restarted, Kevin Owens gets on the microphone and says, "You can't beat me. You're, you know, that's not the work of a Messiah, a God. That's the work of a little bitch." And you know, if you could drink every time you heard the word "bitch" in this pay-per-view, then you'd probably be passed out. Yeah, probably need an ambulance. Anyway, the match restarts, no disqualification. Obviously, the Messiah does respond to being called a little bitch, so he says, yes, let's get this on again. So they go back in it to no disqualification. Now, wow. So it starts again, and no disqualification rules. And I've got to say that Kevin Owens must be the only man that's ever jumped off of the WrestleMania sign in a spot that was absolutely insane. The only person to ever, I think, to ever jump off a WrestleMania sign rather than point at it. So, I mean, yeah, it was a really good spot. Rollins laid out on the table. Kevin Owens jumps onto him with a senton sort of elbow thing. The table collapses. Great selling here by the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins. Really sells that, puts him through the table. KO wins with a stunner as he rolls Seth Rollins back into the ring. Yeah, so sorry, a bit of news came up on my phone on my watch there, so I'm just watching that. And yeah, really good match. I really enjoyed this one. I really did enjoy this one. KO picks up the victory, deservingly so, with a stunner, and he conquers the Messiah in the centre of the ring at WrestleMania. We get a segment next with Heyman, Paul Heyman, ladies and gentlemen, his name is Paul Heyman, talking about Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre's chances of beating the Beast at WrestleMania 36 on the second night, and we then go to the Universal Championship. The Universal Championship is being contested by a last-minute replacement for Roman Reigns. Obviously, Roman Reigns, having recently come back from his second bout of leukemia, is self-isolating for a good 12 weeks, I would imagine, if it's anything like the UK. Staying away from other people, obviously he's more susceptible. His immune system is a lot weaker than anybody else's who's not had leukemia, battle with leukemia. So he's been replaced. He was told not to turn up. Obviously he must be absolutely gutted, finally coming back after all that time, and beating leukemia again, beating a lot of people, and then just sort of turning up on SmackDown and saying, I'm next. I would have liked him to have earned the match, but he gets replaced by Braun Strowman, a long-time rival of Roman Reigns. So this becomes interesting now, because Goldberg is your Universal Champion, a transitional champion as he always is. Beat the Fiend really quickly, and I thought the worst of this one, but the right decisions were made, and after 4 spears, Braun Strowman kicks out. Obviously Goldberg is not going to pick up Braun Strowman for a jackhammer. That's just not going to happen. So he goes with the spears, hits 4 spears. The first 3 look like he just falls into him. The fourth one does actually leave his feet, so it does actually look decent in that one. Braun Strowman kicks out. 5 power slams later, we get a new Universal Champion. The monster among men is now the Universal Monster, and that's nothing to do with the Universal Monsters of the past, but we get a new one, and his name is Braun Strowman, and I was not expecting this. I'm okay with this. The match was a Goldberg match. What else do you expect? But I'm absolutely stoked that Braun Strowman is finally the champion. But interestingly, what do you think, Cheap Shot Nation? Do you think it's too late to give Braun Strowman his time? You know, I was having this discussion as well. Some of the best things in WWE recently have been under not very nice circumstances. We've got Andrade as NXT champion because Drew McIntyre pulled his shoulder. I think it was his shoulder, it might have been his bicep. So they had to transition. You know, all these things, that's the most recent one I can think of. And now this one. Braun Strowman is your new Universal Champion. He is the Universal Monster. And going on to the next match now. It is the final match, the main event of the first night of WrestleMania. Too big for one night, too big for one day. It's over 2. And the final match. Now, I've had mixed responses to this one. Tell us what you think in the comments section down below. You can also hit us up on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook and let us know what you thought of the Boneyard match. I will give you my thoughts on this as we go along. It's AJ Styles versus The Undertaker in a Boneyard match. Lots of speculation as to what a Boneyard match actually was. I always had an inkling that it was going to be sort of a buried alive sort of match. where they've just changed it to Boneyard for PG reasons. Anyway, so it's almost like a buried alive sort of parking lot brawl. And if you ever saw the final deletion on Impact Wrestling, it was a bit like that. So lots of, a very Hollywood style feel. Very, say Hollywood, more like B-movie style editing and shooting and set pieces and things like that. It wasn't quite a match, but I really enjoyed this. I've watched it again and I enjoyed it more the second time than I did the first time. Now, I've got to say, AJ played a fantastic heel. It's like a western come. It's like a western come sort of Walking Dead, like end of the world type of thing, with elements of Chuck Norris and Steven Seagal thrown in there. You get a really cool entrance from AJ Styles. I'm not going to spoil the entrance because it was really funny and it was so dastardly. It was so heel that even I couldn't out heel the heel. And well, not that I could anyway, because AJ Styles plays a really good heel. I've always known him as a face. He plays a really good bad guy. And lots of name calling, lots of calling out, lots of smack talk. Are you ready, old man? And all that kind of stuff. Get the Undertaker, Biker Undertaker. It's the Undertaker being the Undertaker. As a long-term Undertaker fan, love this. He rides in on his bike with Metallica playing behind him, and it's just really, really cool. Love that. He arrives. They have a bit of a brawl. And at one point, it looks like AJ's gonna bury the Undertaker alive. His streak remains. He's never won a buried alive match, and uses his power of teleportation, turns up behind AJ Styles, and then they get this ring of people coming out where Gallows and Anderson go, "Hey, dead man," and it's like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm going to beat you up." Loads of people break down the walls, not like a Chris Jericho thing, but they break down the walls, and he gets surrounded by druids, of all things. And there's so much going on in this match. I loved it. Probably one of my favourite matches ever. I can't even call it a match. It was just a spectacle, really. I just really loved it, and really showcased the Undertaker. It would have been nice in hindsight to say that this would have been his final match, riding off into the sunset on his motorcycle. But ultimately, I do think that the Undertaker deserves a send-off in front of a huge crowd at a WrestleMania. So I don't know how long that's going to be. Don't know whether they're going to try and squeeze it out to WrestleMania 40, but maybe next year he goes into the Hall of Fame and he retires on a victory, leaving his hat in the ring at least once again. Counting maybe 3 times he took. No, he lost against Brock. He's left his hat and his coat in the ring against Roman Reigns, so he's done that again. So it kind of loses its significance, and but it'd be nice to be there in California for the Undertaker's retirement match, because that'd be awesome, and I'm going because I couldn't go this year. So ultimately, I'd probably be reporting this from Tampa, but I'm not. I'm reporting this from the Madhouse in Derbyshire. Anyway. So I'd like a parking lot brawl feel to it as well. Obviously no disqualifications. There's a kayfabe grave, and Undertaker uses his fire. They fight up to the rooftops. He uses his fire. Undertaker choke slams AJ down to the floor. This is where the finish comes. Undertaker gives AJ a hug. Oh, it's nice. He strokes his hair. It's really caressing. And then choke slams him into the. Actually doesn't. He boots him into the grave, gets on the digger, and ultimately buries AJ alive. And yeah, there's a lot of speculation as to how he won this one, but obviously you just bury your opponent. Nice image of AJ's one glove sticking out of the ground, and that's how it finishes. Undertaker rides off into the sunset, and ultimately this is probably one of the better main events that I've seen on a pay-per-view for a very long time. And usually these gimmick matches like this, I mean, you had the Ambrose Asylum, you had the Dollhouse match, I think it was, with Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, and usually these stipulation matches are not great. Does give me hope for the Firefly Funhouse match between The Fiend or Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, and maybe it's a triple threat, I don't know, and John Cena, who's returning for one match. It gives me hope for that, but ultimately my thoughts, going to it thinking it's a B movie, because that's basically what it is. It's like Friday the 13th, WWE style. And I was talking to my mate Big Boss earlier. He's on the second episode of the Confession Sessions for Cheap Shot Entertainment, and Talk is Cheap on the podcast. And yeah, he was saying that he'd love someone to take what the Undertaker was saying to AJ Styles and just put it over Friday the 13th, put it over Jason. It's like, come here, boy. Oh dear. Anyway, yeah, so that is your finish. That is your main event. That is the end of the first night of WrestleMania. If you enjoyed the video and you enjoyed WrestleMania, leave a comment down below. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, bing bing, to know when we upload new content to the channel. Go on, choose your colours, wear your colours, and support the show. And obviously I've already mentioned the social media side of things, so get in contact with us on there. I'll be back again tomorrow for more WrestleMania, because it's too big for one night, of course. Yeah, we'll see you then. I've been your host, the Reverend Luke Edwards. I maybe start calling myself that. I don't know. That is my my wrestling persona. As you know, I'm training to be a wrestling manager. So check those out, and going for Aspire. So as soon as everything blows over, I'm back at Aspire doing the training sessions and things, and working with the community. In the meantime, delivering food parcels to people who need it, who are in isolation. And I'm doing that through Aspire as well, so find it in your heart to go and donate to Aspire, and please do, because they're doing a lot of great things for the local community. In the meantime, go and check the channel out. I've been your host, and I've already done that. You are the Cheap Shot Nation, and I'll see you tomorrow for more WrestleMania. Goodbye.